Attention to the situation in the Middle East now, and Amnesty International South Africa wants the Israeli attacks on Palestinians to be investigated as war crimes. To remind you of the tragic story, at least 200 people, including very young children, have been killed since the start of the latest attacks. Joining me now, Executive Director Shanila Mohammed from Johannesburg, from Amnesty International, to speak on this. Shanila, good morning to you. Thanks very much for your time. Let's just address the first call from Amnesty International for this to be investigated as war crimes. Tell me about that.
Morning, Gareth, and morning to your viewers. Well, Gareth, we have been on the ground and we have been documenting what's going on. And according to our analysis, Israeli forces have displayed a shocking disregard for the lives of Palestinian civilians by carrying out a number of airstrikes targeting residential buildings and in some cases killing entire families, including children. In our view, these attacks may amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity. And so therefore we are calling on the ICC, the International Criminal Court, to investigate these cases and to hold the Israeli government to account.
Well, I see the Palestinian finance minister as well also backing the call for this, also echoing the sentiment of Amnesty International. Israel is committing war crimes in Gaza. I do have to ask about the question on the ICC, though, has been criticized from the very beginning, hasn't it, Shanila, that essentially, while it is an international body, it's fairly inept as far as taking any actual action, isn't it?
Well, absolutely, Gareth. I mean, we know that, in 2014, we had, similar attacks on the occupied territories. And, till today, we haven't seen a result coming out of the ICC. And, it's really important that those that are members of the ICC hold it to account. We cannot allow cases to be, just sort of swept under the carpet. I mean, since 2014, we're waiting for action on the last attack. And this time round, I mean, I think the members of the ICC have got to stand up and demand responsibility and accountability from the International Criminal Court.
I do need to ask the question, Shanila, and I think you knew I was going to ask this as well. There's never going to be a consensus as far as blame is concerned. So the call from Amnesty International wanting the Israeli attacks on Palestine to be considered a war crime. There are going to be critics, and I'm sure you're aware of them, who are going to suggest that the Palestinian retaliation to Israel could also be tantamount to war crimes, depending, again, where you sit as far as opinion and view on this is concerned. What's your reaction to those who say Palestine should also be investigated for this?
Well, Gareth, as Amnesty International, our job is to document human rights violations. So, we are very careful about ensuring that our documentation is not partisan or biased. And, we have also, along with calling for Israel to be, investigated by the ICC, we've also said that the indiscriminate rocket fire by Palestinian armed groups towards civilian areas of Israel, which has also killed and injured civilians and damaged homes, must also be investigated by the ICC. The rockets fired from Gaza into Israel are imprecise, and their use violates international humanitarian law, which prohibits the use of weapons that are by nature indiscriminate. So, we're calling on an investigation on both sides because, according to our analysis, both sides have violated international law.
And I appreciate your time in speaking to us. Always a pleasure. Amnesty International South Africa Executive Director Shanila Mohammed joining us here to talk about the situation between Israel and Palestine. Back with